Hello guys, I'm Christina and in this video we're going to be painting some pancakes. We're going to start by making a cylinder, and I made it a bit small, so I'm making it a little bit bigger, and the circle at the top is supposed to represent where the strawberries are going to be. I'm also making the plate at the bottom, and this is just a rounded shape around the pancakes, and I'm also doing a second rounded line for the outer part of the plate. And here I'm starting to draw the pancakes, and this is gonna be a pancake mountain. So it's gonna be a bunch of pancakes sitting on top of each other. And for this, it can get a little bit confusing because it's a lot of pancakes. If it helps to do a little diagram with the number of layers and where they're placed, I had to do that with a reference picture because it was quite confusing. And here I'm drawing the strawberries, but they're too small, so I had to make them bigger later, just to let you guys know if you're drawing them the same size as me. So I started with a very rough sketch. So this is not what the final thing is gonna look like. It's just a rough sketch, and then I'm refining on top. So at the beginning, I just did a bunch of lines to show where the pancakes were gonna be, but now it's when I'm actually drawing them properly. The layers of the pancakes are a little bit complicated to draw, but if you've got that, then the rest is pretty easy. And now I'm erasing the strawberries because, like I said before, they were way too small, because at the beginning I made the cylinder way too small. These are the blueberries, so it's just a bunch of circles. And then the strawberries are rounded triangles placed next to each other. The plate looks a bit strange because of the way that I drew it in the rough sketch. It actually looks like this. And I'm drawing a line in the middle of the strawberries because when we're going to be painting, we're going to be using a wet on wet technique, and for that it's going to be useful to know where the middle lies. And these are just some tiny circles within the blueberries. This is me drawing the syrup. I wasn't really sure as to how to draw the syrup, so I tried to make a line, but not a straight line because it needs to look like the syrup is falling on top of each layer. And this is me drawing the syrup on the plate. I realized that the line of the syrup was leaning towards the right, so I had to erase it and make it a bit straighter. And these are just the leaves of the strawberry, and I just drew 4 leaves. Here I'm trying to give the strawberries some dimension, because right now they're looking pretty flat. And now I'm making the sketch lines lighter so that we don't see them as matching the painting. So here I'm mixing the color for the plate, and I'm using white with some indigo and burnt umber to create that gray. Here I'm mixing the color for the pancakes, and I'm doing cat yellow with purple with magenta, but you can also do yellow ochre with magenta with cerulean. And now I'm layering. So I'm doing multiple layers for this top pancake, and it's the same color. And this is the third layer, and it's also the same color, only this time I'm actually softening those edges and painting the bottom of the pancake. And for that, I'm just dabbing some water onto my brush and lifting some paint at the bottom of the pancake. And you want the bottom of the pancake to be lighter. And here I'm using that very light mixture to paint the syrup, which I'm going to be layering later. For the syrup, I'm using the same colors as the pancakes, and that is my mixture of yellow ochre, magenta, and cerulean. And I'm doing the same thing that I did with that top pancake with the rest of the pancakes, meaning that darker color for the top of the pancake and then a lighter version for the bottom, trying to soften those edges by lifting some paint at the bottom of the pancakes. And we don't have to get too dark yet. We're going to be adding those darker colors later. I'm going over the top of the pancakes with the same color to darken them. And for the strawberries, we're gonna be using a wet on wet technique. So I'm wetting the strawberries first and only do this to the parts that you want to color in red. So I'm just applying a light layer of water to the 4 strawberries. And for the strawberries, I'm using cat red with cat yellow and magenta. And because the color wasn't natural enough, I added some indigo. And the secret for the strawberries is you basically want to leave the middle of the strawberry white and just paint the rest of the strawberry, leaving that middle part out. And that's how you create that effect. For the 4th strawberry, the water had dried out, so I had to help it out a little bit, dab in some water with my brush. And here I'm mixing the colors for the blueberries, and it's my purple mix from earlier, some indigo and magenta. And I'm just going over the blueberries and I'm basically making it so that there's some light coming from the left. So I'm trying to lift some paint in the left side of the blueberries to give them that feeling of volume. So now I'm taking the same red and applying it to the outer part of the strawberries, and now is when they start to look like they have some volume. And here I'm mixing the color for the leaves of the strawberry, and I'm basically creating a yellow and blue mixture, and I'm taking both yellows, both blues, like just trying to create a very natural green. And now I'm taking that gray mixture and using it for the inner part of the plate. I used the same shade of red to paint more shadows on the strawberries, and the strawberry in the back is gonna be darker. So I just painted the whole strawberry with that color. And here I'm adding the shadows of the leaves of the strawberry, and I'm placing them at the bottom of the leaves. So here I'm mixing some ultramarine with magenta with cat yellow to add the shadows of the blueberries. And I'm trying to do the shadows on the right side, and I'm also painting the little circle at the top of the blueberries. For the shadows of the pancakes, we're using the same mixture that we used for the pancakes. So that is yellow ochre with magenta with cerulean. But for the shadows, we're adding indigo to darken and deepen that color. And I'm trying to create those shadows between the pancakes and also below the blueberries and strawberries. And here I'm adding the second layer to the syrup on the plate, and I'm taking that same mixture from earlier. And now I'm adding one more layer to the syrup that's falling off the pancakes. I'm making the right side of the syrup a little bit darker. I'm trying to give it volume. I'm adding my mixture to the left side of the syrup as well, and I'm trying to leave the middle just a tiny bit lighter. And I'm also trying to draw a little line in the places where the syrup would sit on the pancake. And here I'm adding some additional darker values to the strawberries, and these are very tiny. And here I'm using a very light version of my mixture and painting over those sketch lines where the outline of the pancakes is. And here I'm painting the inside of the strawberries. And the way that I did that is I used that same exact mixture. Think about these details on the strawberries like lined blobs rather than perfectly aligned lines. I'm taking some of that purplish, grayish mixture at the top, and I'm using a smaller brush to go over the outline of the plate. And here I'm using a warmer version of that gray to paint the shadow of the inside of the plate. And now I'm adding some darker values to the right side of the syrup. Here I'm mixing some magenta, cerulean, and lemon yellow to create this purplish, grayish mixture that we're gonna be using in the inner side of the plate. And this is to create a darker shadow. And I'm also taking that same mixture and going over the outer part of the plate. And here I wanted to go over a little mistake that I made. So I just applied some water on a small brush and lifted the paint. So we're at the end of the video. I hope your pancakes are looking good. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, I've got this previous tutorial where I'm taking you through how I painted this bird standing on top of a mushroom.